Hello, everybody. Welcome back to RC with Adam. My name is Adam, and we are live on YouTube right now, not Instagram today. We're having some technical difficulties, and we're starting quite a bit later than when I was intending to start. More technical difficulties and whatnot. But that's okay. We're here. We're here. We are finally here, and we can get started on this Q&A session. And we're going to go, I don't know, maybe an hour, probably not an hour at this point. But for a while, we're going to be here. And the goal here is to answer questions that you have, and hopefully with a helpful answer that is the right answer, but an answer nonetheless, because, drones and 3D printing, that's what we like to do here. And drones, that includes RC aircraft and sometimes RC cars and things like that. And those are so fun. They're so fun. It's a great outlet for creativity. It's a great way to learn things that you can use in other aspects of your life. But sometimes they don't work like they're supposed to. And sometimes you just find yourself spending hours, days, weeks researching how to fix some problem that you're having, and you don't even know how to research it to find the answer because you don't even know like what the words are for the things. And there's so much, just misinformation or just information that's difficult to find out there, and it just helps to have a real person to get real answers real fast in real time. So that is what we're doing today, hopefully. So leave your comments, questions down in the chat. Looks like and on YouTube we already have Flying Butter. Flying Butter, welcome. He says, I was scared. I thought the live wouldn't happen. I was scared too. We have Animate Fun, welcome. Welcome. And yes, Flying Butter, I did not jump scare you this time like I did on the last one. Maybe I should go back and watch that. Maybe that really was scary. Animate Fun says, how are you? I'm doing great. I'm like physically a little tired, I think, right now. So I want to do my best to answer questions and be helpful, but I'm probably not as sharp as I would like to be. I think that's kind of typical. It's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. But kind of at the end of the week, you're like, oh, okay, like need a little bit of break time. I think a little R&R time. Let's see here. Olive, welcome back. Good to have looks like kind of a standard crew from all over the world. How cool is that? We've got Quiddy WT or something like that over on YouTube says, hi. When are you going to declare the winner of the Modified Air 2? Great question. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because today I decided, short answer, that I'm going to bump all of the entry deadlines. The entry deadline for all of the 12 days of giveaways is going to be January 15th. And why is that? Well, it's because it's my show and I get to do what I want. But also because I did the math and I realized because I skipped a couple days and stuff like that, I'd have to cram 6 more giveaways into 3 days, and I just don't want to do that. And because I've got stuff going on this weekend, so I don't want to be stressing out about doing it. So let's just bump it out a little bit, and then gives more people time to enter, and then also more time to enter into all the giveaways, basically. So because I was thinking about that, because the last giveaway would just be, theoretically, it would just be on the last day. And actually, how does that work with it? Yeah, so that should give, I think, a day. About no, I don't know. I kind of just picked a date, but anyway, it'll give people more time, and that way it won't be all of these giveaways suddenly happen and you have just hours to enter into the giveaway. Because time zones and stuff, people might be asleep for half of the time, when I put out the giveaway, stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do. So the answer to that question is January 15th at midnight, or January 15th at 11:59. So the whole day of January 15th, basically. But look, those aren't like super duper hard deadlines. Like I'm not going to like run some kind of AI algorithm to see if somebody posted their comment like 1 second after that. It's just kind of like, hey, we got to draw a line somewhere. That's where it's going to be. And that's going to be for all the giveaways. So you can enter into all the giveaways. You can only win only one giveaway. So only enter in the ones that you really want to win, because what I'm going to do is go through the giveaways chronologically in order of the videos, and then I'm going to randomly select, using a random comment picker, the winner, and then tell the winner how they won somehow. And I haven't quite figured out all that because I've never done like a 12 part giveaway before. And then, so that's going to be interesting, managing that and then getting all the stuff shipped out. So one thing at a time. But speaking of the giveaways, Olive says, what about day 7? What about day 7? That's not even a question. Day 7, well, we just did day 6, right? So day 6 was, what was day 6? Was that the modified air 2? Can't remember. I get mixed up. So day 7, I don't know. See, I didn't have these all planned out. That's the thing. So I got really excited, and I was like, oh, we need to have like, we're going to give away stuff, because I got a bunch of like stuff. But the thing is like, I may have mentioned, I'm like in the process of moving, basically, or I recently moved, and so I kind of don't know where all my stuff is. So I've been trying to like find it as well. But I'm excited because we're going to be giving away some really cool stuff. Some of it's not like super duper like pristine, like, brand new out of the box, but it would be stuff that I remember when I was just getting started in the RC stuff. I would be super stoked to get like just random. If I got like a random box of random bits and electronics and motors and stuff, I'd be like, yes. So that's one of that will be one of the prizes, is motors, electronics, like ESCs and servos for airplane building, and just like it'll be like the DIY package. Toast. I'm gonna call you Toast. Toast 796 on YouTube says, I was building a drone for a racing competition. The racetrack is nearly 200 to 300 meters. Can you suggest me, do I need to practice with the simulator or real world flying practice? 100% practice with the simulator. And then, but I mean, also mix in real world flying practice. However, caveat, asterisk, is I am not a big time racer guy. I've actually never, that's kind of crazy actually, but I've actually never done like an actual like race at all. So there's that. So take that with kind of a grain of salt. But if you said, hey Adam, you're going to be doing this racing competition, how are you going to train for it? I would say, yes, I would do a lot of simulator practice. That's very realistic to the drone that I fly in real life. And then I think, guys, help me out here. Probably Flying Butter knows this. Racetrack builders. I haven't messed around with like building custom racetracks in the different FPV simulators. Because I don't really race. But what I would do is I'd find one where I could make the same, if I knew what the race was going to be, I could build that track in the racetrack maker in the simulator, and then fly that in the simulator. And then I would go out and do real world flying. But I'd probably do like, I don't know, 10 to 1. Well, I mean, if you can do real world flying, just do real world flying, like a ton. But if not, you could do 10 to 1. You could do 10 hours of FPV practice, FPV sim practice, and then an hour of real world flying, so that you could really, everything would be exactly like how you're actually going to do it. So that's my suggestion. Good question. Good question. Animate Fun asks, what are you eating? Nothing. So I apologize if it was distracting, if it looked like I was eating something. I'm not eating anything. And hopefully there aren't a bunch of microphone sounds of my mouth making sounds. Yeah. And Quiddy WT says I crashed my 3-inch in the snow today. Had to be rescued after 2 to 3 hours. Ooh. Flying Butter says, yeah, build a track in Velocidrone or Liftoff. Make sure your BAT, as in your battery simulation, is on. Yes, definitely battery simulation. Batteries are annoying, you know? The batteries are really like I mean, it's funny because they're the lifeblood. They're the reason why drones are able to do anything at all, but they're also really annoying because, you know, you have battery sag. So if you're going full throttle, your battery can only keep that up for so long, and then it's gonna kind of like get worn out, and then you got to pull back the throttle, and it kind of like bounces back. You know, it's almost like a sponge, maybe. Maybe that would be an analogy. Like you squish a sponge, but you can only squish it so much, and then there's no more water left, and then you got to let it refill the water. Kind of like that. So that's definitely an aspect. And then also, if you've been flying for a while, your battery voltage is going to be lower on your last lap versus your first lap. So that's a big one. Oh, Animate Fun says, no, what are you drinking? What am I drinking? All right, I'm not sponsored by them, but I really like these Bloom energy drinks. And I know this is like a chick drink. At least that seems to be how it's like marketed. It's kind of pink, I guess, and stuff. But these are delicious, and they're supposed to be one of the most healthy energy drinks that you can get. And I actually switched from like I don't drink coffee anymore. I used to drink coffee all the time, and it turns out that my life is a lot better not drinking coffee, and so I drink that instead. So that has caffeine and stuff because it's an energy drink, but it's like way different. It's way different than coffee because coffee is it's just like or at least the way that I drink it is, you know, it's just like, well, bam, like a crazy caffeine and sugar dump into my system. So that's not good. So I drink that instead. And I drink water. I'm a big water drinker. Like, you got to drink water, guys. If you're not drinking water, what are you doing? Okay. So you got to drink a lot of water too. Toos says, have you used the AOCODA series flight controller plus ESC? AOCO. Is that what that's supposed to say, or is that supposed to say anaconda? I can't tell. Also, Quiddy WT, it says he crashed his 3-inch drone in the snow today and had to be rescued after 2 to 3 hours. But how? How did you rescue it? Did you have to find it? Could you not find it, and then you had to like search for it in the snow? That's a tricky thing. You know, I don't really ever encounter snow, so that's something that I wouldn't have quite thought of, is like, how do you find your drone if you crash it in, I guess, like a bunch of powdery snow maybe, or you know, it buries itself. For me, it's just water around here, so that's my thing is water, but you can't really float on snow, so that's interesting. Interesting kind of issue. Toos says AOCODA. No, I have not. I have never used that. I've never heard of it before. I have no idea what it is. Maybe we'll look that up together. Sam on YouTube says, hey, Sam, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you with me. And of course, if you're just joining us or if we've just met, my name is Adam. This is RC with Adam. And here we like to do drones and 3D printing stuff. And in these little sessions I like to do, the goal is to help you. I'm here to help you. So if you've got questions, I'll answer them as best I can about drones, 3D printing, RC stuff. Maybe practical life advice. I don't know. We started talking about drinking coffee versus energy drinks and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I do not advocate most energy drinks, but some of them, like, you got to pay attention to what you're drinking. And pay attention to, like, your body as far as, like, what it does when you drink it. But anyway, let me look that up. Yesterday we had a stimulating conversation about action cameras, micro drones. It was a great time. Let me look up this flight controller thing that we're talking about. Interesting. We'll take a look at that in just a second. We've got a question, though. We've got a question over on YouTube from Sam. Wait, I think this is a question. Sam says, beginner level on KiCad and want to create my own flight controller system. Already familiar with CAD designs, so how should I go about the whole process? Man, I wish I had a better answer for you, but the short answer, I don't know. I don't know what KiCad is. KiCad, like KICAD. I'm not familiar with that, and I've never, to be honest, I've never even considered creating my own flight controller board or system. I think that's what you're talking about, right? Flight controller, like a board. Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know where to start with that. So maybe somebody in the chat does. Does anybody else in the chat know about those things, or how to, maybe the direction to go for that, for creating your own flight controller system? Let me share my screen with you here, and this is the AOCODA RC products that Toos was talking about over on YouTube. And Sam says KiCad is a software where you can make your own custom PCB. Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha. I had a feeling that's what it was, but unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that, so I cannot help you, at least on my own knowledge. And to be honest, I really don't. I don't know. And also, I say this a lot, but to be honest with you, that sounds like a daunting process. At least to me, that's not my strong suit. The kind of the electronics, small electronics side is definitely not my area of expertise. But looking back at this, at these products here, I have never heard of this. Has anybody else heard of this? These AOCODA. Why are these names so hard? AOCODA. I'm going to call it AOCODA. I'm getting the theme here. I'm getting the green and gold. At least that's, well, I guess it's just green, but let's see what's going on. Let's see about us. Let's figure out what are they talking about. Develop the The great development potential FPV drone electronics related company trusted by thousands of FPV players. Headquartered in Shenzhen City, located in China. Who'd have thought? Who would have thought? I say that because it's kind of funny because like all of these FPV electronics, drone electronics, come out of Shenzhen, China. So so it's just funny that it's like, yep, that makes sense. So let's see, what do we have? Specifically, you were asking about the flight controller. You were flight controller plus ESC. So was there one specifically that you were asking about? Toos on YouTube. Those are some big boards. Whoa, why are those boards so big? Look at that. That's 100 amp? That's a big old board right there. E3 2. Let's take a look at this. Oh, okay. Oh, check that out. It's got looks like it has two battery input pads. So that's interesting. I wonder why. Because I have not personally seen this one. Hello, man. Hello, man is in the chat. Welcome. Welcome back. Another question from Sam on YouTube says, what is your opinion on optical fiber drones? What is my opinion on optical fiber drones? My opinion is that I don't know that I really have an opinion. Optical fiber drones. I think I was asked this previously, and I probably should have like come up with, maybe researched it a little bit to, but it's pretty amazing. I'd say optical fiber drones is pretty amazing. And it's kind of funny because like conceptually, a drone that is controlled by a really, really long cord should not be amazing. What should be amazing is that you could control it with radio waves, wirelessly. But since we're so used to it with being controlled with radio waves, the fact that we could control it with a fiber optic cable seems amazing. And clearly, people are doing this to prevent jamming and prevent any kind of radio interference, that sort of thing. So I think they definitely have a purpose, but it sounds like they're kind of like one use. I don't know much about them. Oh, also, we're going to bring up something. We're going to bring up something from a viewer. Let me pull this up here and get this link up here. A viewer submitted piece of information here. Let me pull this up, and there we go. And there we go. Close that. Oh, let's see here. I'm trying to sort through all these AI generated articles. Okay. That's hard to read. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to this maybe. That's not gonna work. Mm, mm. Flying Butter says Aocoda has mid stacks. You mean like mid grade, like middle of the road kind of thing. All right, so I'm trying to find some information that we can look at here. I don't want to get like flagged for some dumb thing, you know what I'm saying? Just given the sensitive context in which we're talking about a technological idea. That's not helpful. I just want like diagrams. Like I want diagrams. I want stuff like that. That's not helpful. Okay, let me find this. Where did that go? Was it this one? This one. All right, we can look at this together because it's more interesting than just staring at my face. So Aocoda apparently has mid-grade stacks according to Flying Butter. Let me share the screen with you here again. Let me get a drink of water. All right, so we're talking about, because the question was, what's my opinion on fiber optic, drones and stuff. And I think it's fascinating. So here's an article that I'm looking at here. I'm kind of just scanning through it here. What's fascinating is the spools. So, and again, this article, I don't know. I haven't vetted it. I don't know how accurate it is. Blah, 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 whatever. I mean, for some reason, this drone has the spool going out the front. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm curious. I'm curious about that. That could be interesting. So basically, where did it say? It said, all right, the core mechanism of fiber optic drone relies on a specialized onboard spooling system. Unlike a heavy power tether that pulls on the drone, a fiber optic cable is incredibly light and designed to pay out without resistance. Okay, the drone carries a canister containing several kilometers of micro diameter optical fiber. It doesn't look like micro diameter, but maybe it is. As you fly forward, the cable unspools from the drone itself rather than being pulled from the ground. This minimizes drag and prevents the cable from snagging on obstacles or snapping due to tension. Right. So it's very interesting because it's like as it flies forward, it just it lets out the spool, and then I guess it's just kind of dangling, on the ground, so kind of leaving a trail. According to this, it says the cable used in these systems is a feat of engineering. It typically consists of a glass core no thicker than a human hair, wrapped in high tensile materials like Kevlar for durability. Despite its thin profile, it can handle intense vibrations and rapid directional changes of drone flight, which that's what I was always wondering is like, wouldn't the propellers cut it at some point, especially an FPV drone? Like, are you able to do rolls? Are you able to circle back around? How does that work? Zero latency data through light. That is pretty cool, actually, that there's zero latency. So, this is critical for high-speed maneuvers or navigating tight spaces where a millisecond of lag could lead to catastrophic crash. Furthermore, the bandwidth provided by the fiber allows uncompressed 4K or 8K video feeds. That's pretty cool, too. So it sounds like there's actually, aside from the actual physical limitations of a tether, there's actually a lot of benefits because you're going to transfer video faster and better, like better quality. It's not going to be jammed. it's actually that's it. So far, that's it. Those are the only 2 benefits, but those are pretty big benefits. The downside is that you're gonna have to carry a whole lot more weight, even if it is lightweight. I mean, it's gonna weigh more. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Okay. Standard drones are like flashlights in a dark room. They emit RF signals that can easily be detected. That's a good point too. Is if you're looking for radio signals, you're not going to see a radio signal because there won't be one. That's very, very fascinating. Wow, look at that. Look at those spools. So while fiber optic drones offer unparalleled signal security, they aren't a magic bullet for every flight scenario. Yeah, we know that. As it flies further away, it must pull the weight of the fiber behind it, which creates a unique set of aerodynamic challenges. Yeah, I would think it would create the higher it would fly, the more it would have to pull the weight, as opposed to being on the ground, and kind of just laying on the ground and then having only 100 feet to be lifting up, as opposed to like 2, 3, 4, 500 feet. I don't know how high they typically fly, but and then the other consideration is, and I think they're mentioning this, but you also wouldn't have things to get in the way. So yeah, reliability. So like theoretically, you could fly really low to the ground. That'd be crazy. Because we're so used to like line of sight flying because we have to like be able to stay in connection, and so if you're flying, I don't know, a couple miles away, you probably would have to be up pretty high so that you'd have a connection to the drone. But in this case, you could be really low. Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. So, all right. So I think, what is my opinion on it? My opinion is pretty darn cool. Aside, I'm sure it's expensive. I don't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised. And a lot of usefulness, but impractical for most types of flights. And I think it's just like a one-time use thing. I think it's I don't know that you could fly back the way that you came. That would be an interesting question. That would be kind of my next question, is like, how does that actually work to fly one of these? Or is it really just kind of a one-way ticket? And like, what if there was like an auto respool? I don't know. That could be interesting, but kind of causing problems. Hey, we got some stuff happening over on the YouTube chat. So that's where we're gonna go. Next, we're gonna go over here, Clover FPV Systems, to look at something that Kevin, I believe it's Kevin, right? The same Kevin in the chat. That's what you sent me. We're gonna take a look at that in just a moment. Over on the YouTube chat, Ito Maxim says, Foot Feet 22. I think you meant Flight Fest. Some festival you attend. It's the t-shirt reference. Yes, this is Flight Fest 2022. And it's the, if you're in the RC world for like 2 seconds, you probably heard of Flight Fest or Flight Test. And Flight Fest is the big, huge electric RC flight festival. And I've been going, I've been several years. 6 times, I think. I think so. Not lately. Not last year. Maybe I'll go this year. I don't know. It's hard to say. We'll see. We'll see what the Lord has in store for this year, because the previous years it was like, nah, because it's quite a drive. It's quite a drive to get to Ohio, and then with kids and stuff, it's much more of a big deal. But it's a lot of fun. So if you've never been, you should probably go at least once. Sam over on YouTube says, since I am a beginner, I don't have much knowledge of 3D printing, and I was curious about the whole process, like creating a CAD file, then exporting it to the printer, making it a STL file, all that. But then, let's see. Okay, so that's about 3D printing. And then he says about the fiber optic cable thing. But then in forest areas, it could be very hard to use because the wire could get tangled. Right, or especially reuse, you know, but that's kind of the idea with the spool coming from the drone, is that even if it gets tangled, the drone is still going to go because it's coming out from the drone. So Juwoo on YouTube says, imagine getting tangled in a bando. Yeah, right. Like you're chasing your tail or something. And Kevin Smith says anti-jamming is its strong point. Yes, definitely is, for sure. Yeah, it kind of like reminds me. I just had the thought come to mind of you know, Star Wars, where they've got the, I can't remember the names of the, you know, but they're on Hoth. It's Hoth, right? You know, and they got the AT-ATs. The AT-ATs, right? The big walkers. Gosh, I should know all these references, right? But you know, and they're flying the aircraft around them in the snow, and they're like, they got their grapplers or whatever, and they like hook on, and then they're flying in circles and they trip them. That's kind of like what comes to mind with the fiber optic stuff with the drones. Let me try and get caught up, and then I want to get back to what Sam was asking. Sam also says exactly perfect for military use, but if it is used for military purpose, it needs to travel through tough terrain, so I don't get how it completes the purpose. I think it really just depends on the terrain. I think there's very specific uses for it. I mean, you think about, like, there are like missiles, right, that are wire guided that go really far. Like, that's crazy when you think about that. But I think, you know, it's better for one-time use kind of deal. Flying Butter says, when you have a fiber optic drone, you don't freestyle it. Yeah, right. Yeah, could you imagine that? Sometimes, though, I mean, that's kind of, you know, freestyle moves are practical moves. Sometimes it just sort of depends on what you're doing. And Kevin Smith says yes. Hello Man says, how would someone know whether they have won any giveaway so that they can avoid comment on other chat as you said to avoid? Oh, okay. So all right, so about the giveaway. So now that everybody's here, so the giveaway, I'm pushing the deadline back to January 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So, which I think I updated that, but I probably need to mention that 11:59 Eastern time. So the way that I'm going to do it is, so that I don't get like confused and try to keep it as simple as possible, I'm going to go through the videos and pick a random winner for each video, and from all the comments. And then whoever's name I pick, if I pick your name on video number 2 and you entered and you wanted to win the video number 2 thing, that's what you're going to get. And then I'm not going to pick your name in any of the other ones. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that way we'll have 12 separate winners instead of like one person won like 3 of them, and like that, then that like leaves out more people. So that's why I'm trying to kind of spread it around so that we have the most number of winners for the contest. So that's how it will work. So basically, so after the deadline, no more entries. That's the giveaways will be done after that deadline. So that's why I say only put your name in the ones that you actually want to win, or only comment on the videos where the prize is something you actually want to win. So basically, if you're like, oh, well, this one's cool, or like the Go-Go Birds are cool, and the Mavic Mini is cool, so I would want to get either of those, but like nothing else, or I don't want to like possibly ruin my chance of winning something else versus this other thing that I would like to win, then you just enter in the thing you would like to win, is how I'm going to do it. I think that makes sense. This is my first time doing such a like big giveaway, so we'll see how it goes. But that's a good question. And then and I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to like notify people, because the thing is that if I just say, hey, you won, email me, and other people see that, then I might get somebody email me who is not you, who won it, and they're trying to scam me and take your prize. So I have to figure out a good way of doing that. But I think we will still do a final like giveaway winners announcement video once I've selected the winners. I think that's how we're gonna do it. Let me get to Ito Maxim says, I feel like there are no such things like big festivals, talking about Flight Fest, in Canada at all compared to the US. That may be, I'm not sure. Toos says, what prop do you suggest for a 5-inch drone? 2 or 3? Oh, 2 or 3 blades? 3 blades. Moisty says, so Bamboo Lab H2D using 0.6 hot end with 150 millimeters per second, 38%, 0.17 millimeter line spacing is perfect. How is perfect. Now, how would I scale this for a 0.4 millimeter hot end? I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure that I understand your question. So, Moisty on YouTube, give me a little more context about what you're talking about. Because it sounds like you would basically just, oh, you're talking about ironing. Short answer, I don't know. Longer answer, what I would do is basically just scale it up, I guess percentage wise. So like figure out whatever percent, or I'm sorry, scale it down, I guess. If you're using a 0.6 hot end, you'd scale it down for whatever the percentage is, right? So like 0.6, so 0.4 is whatever percent of 0.6, and then you would apply those to your settings. I don't know about the speed. I'm not sure if you need to do that to the speed. That's what I would do personally, and I'd try that out. But I said I was going to go back and answer Sam's question here because it's a great question. We want to help out Sam. So Sam has a question. He says, I am a beginner. I don't have much knowledge of 3D printing, and I was curious about the whole process, like creating a CAD file, then exporting it to the printer, making it an STL file, and all that. Okay, so Sam, what CAD software are you using? It's not a huge deal. I'm just curious because that might make a difference on. It will make a difference on the specific process, but 3D knowledge of 3D printing. I was curious about the whole process. So Sam, if you haven't, go check out my video where I do the 3D printing crash course. So, like a lot of my videos, it's a little older at this point, but it is still very helpful. So I'm just going to pull it up. If you've already seen it, that's great. I'm just going to pull it up so that other people can see it and they'll know where it is. Should be on. It's one of my top videos. It really resonated with people. Here it is. But I warn you, I'm bald, so I look different. But it's don't know where to start, 3D printing crash course. This video, I basically run through the whole process. Now, again, this is older, a little bit older tech. This was 5 years ago. Crazy, right? But pretty much the concepts are the same. So, basically, so let me give you the actual answer. So what I do when I design something in CAD software, right now I use Onshape. So I design it, and then I will, from the CAD software, click export. And you can export either as an STL, or lately what I do is just export it as a .step file, STEP file. Basically, a step file is it's like the actual CAD file, so it has the CAD information built into it. That's my understanding of it. Um, so and that way you can like you could open it back up in CAD and change stuff. And STL will just spit out whatever the three-dimensional model is, and it won't have any of the CAD information, any of the like extra info. Like you can't open it later and then like edit it like you would in a CAD program. But I use Bamboo Studio, and you can import step files into Bamboo Studio. So that said, basically you would export it from your CAD software, import it. Could be either, like I said, the top ones would be like a 3MF, an STL, or a .step file into your slicer, and then from there you could change the settings in your slicer to tell your 3D printer how you want it to print the model. And you could, depending on the slicer you have, you could adjust, or pretty much all slicers, you can adjust things like scale, or you can, change you can change dimensions by scaling, but you have to be careful that certain dimensions, like depending on what the model is, if you scale it, then it won't work right. So like a good example would be like if you have a model of something and it has holes for screws, if you scale the model down, the screw holes will get smaller too, and then they won't work because they won't be the right size. So you got to keep that in mind. And then so then you would slice it in your printer, tell your printer how you want to do it. You usually there's a slice button. You click the slice button, and then you're able to see how it's going to print, and then from there you can print it on your printer. Did I leave anything out? I feel that seems too easy. That's like 3 steps. Export, import, slice, and then print. So Sam, let me know. Let me know if that helped you, or if you have any other questions. Hello Man. Oh wow, we're almost out of time here. Hello Man says, I think one should share a proper screen recording showing their username and email, so that you can confirm that XYZ username have that email address, and can confirm when someone send you detailed email. That could work, but they could also just fake it too. That's the thing. Adam, what? That's my name. Adam over on YouTube, welcome, says, would you suggest the Bamboo Lab A1 Mini as a good first printer? Never owned my own, but I have taken CAD classes. Short answer, yes. Longer answer, it does depend on like your budget, and what you kind of, I guess what your goals are. What do you want to 3D print? Are you wanting to 3D print multi-filament stuff, like multicolored prints, which I kind of advise against in some ways, but because it takes a ton of filament because of the purge and stuff. And I only mention that because that's like a big thing that Bamboo Lab pushes with kind of all their printers, but especially the A1 Mini. They're like, wow, you can print this amazing multicolor thing, and it's amazing with like the multicolor filament system. But the problem is it purges so much, and then you get a ton of this filament printer poop, and it's very wasteful, as opposed to being able to print things separately. But anyway, that's just a little side information there. But Bamboo Lab is good. They're probably the top like plug and play printers. I think of them as like the Apple of the 3D printer world. So when they work, they're very user friendly. They're just very plug and play. They're easy, and they have the whole ecosystem. But sometimes like if it's not working, it can be very confusing, kind of like getting this printer to set up with with your computer and stuff like that. And I haven't used all the other brands, so I'm not totally sure, like if that's just Bamboo Lab, but but I do have two. I have two Bamboo Labs, and then my son has a Bamboo Lab, and so that's kind of like I'm kind of in the Bamboo Lab ecosystem at this point. So I definitely wouldn't like steer you away. My big thing would be, do you want to go with the A1 Mini or do you want to go with the A1? Let me pull this up just for reference so I can have something to talk or show you while we're talking. Oh, we got to cover this one thing. This one last one. All right, let me... Hang on. All right, I will try not to like belabor the point here, but all I would say, because the question that you asked was, is the A1 Mini a good first printer? Answer, yes. One thing you might want to consider is that the A1 has like a full-size build plate, and well, that's probably going to be the biggest difference between the A1 and the A1 Mini. So if you foresee yourself wanting to print larger stuff, like I don't know if you're into cosplay, like helmets or something, or just big, whatever, big things or multiples of small things, then I really like the A1 Mini. Or the A1, sorry. I like the A1, but the A1 Mini, you could still print a whole lot of stuff. It just kind of depends in that way. I also like the A1 personally because it uses the same size build plates as the what is going on here? Whoa. Okay. I'm trying to scroll through here, but it's like giving me this weird scrolly page thing. It uses the same size build plate as my main workhorse, which is the X1 Carbon, which they don't really sell anymore. Yeah. So those are my 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents on that. Oh, yes, Flying Butter. Can we look at that thing now? Yes, we're going to look at the thing now. Too Moisty says, can separate step into objects. H2D all the way. Purge it into infill. So he's saying if you, to avoid some of like the multicolor filament waste, you can purge it into the infill. And that is better, but you're still going to have like super slow printing times if you're having to change the filament like every layer, especially, or multiple times per layer. Crazy stuff. I kind of avoid it like the plague, to be personally honest. To be personally honest. Who says that? And H2D is what Moisty is saying here. H2 series. The H2D is dual nozzle. Show me. Yeah, there we go. The H2D is dual nozzle and bigger. I believe that the whole H series is bigger. The H2S is single nozzle but bigger. H2D is double nozzle, and then H2C is I don't know what it stands for, but I call it complicated. That has the Vortec quick change nozzle system. So and I guess these all have a laser option, which I don't understand how. Like, I guess it works, but like that seems like a terrible idea to incorporate 3D printing and a laser into one box. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. I'm going on a tangent, but those are, pretty good suggestions there. Moisty says, remove cutter, remove filament stopper, and remove prime tower. Now you're printing. Okay. So, yeah, there are ways you can reduce like the waste and stuff, but then I don't know. That's something that I might play around with in terms of how to get decent multi-filament prints with the minimum amount of waste. But to be honest, I don't think it's really worth my time at the moment. And I would probably rather just get an H2C with the nozzle changing system, which I realize it's $2,200. So that's definitely not something that you just, pick up as your first printer, most likely. Anyway, let's go back to this. Okay, here we go. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for. So I got an email from one of you guys in the chat, a viewer, Kevin. And thanks for that, by the way. And you guys can always email me. Don't spam me. Don't sell my email. But you can email me, adam@RCwithAdam.com, because we can't post links in the chat here. So sometimes that can be helpful if you want to show me something. Or you want to share something that we, can bring up at the next club meeting, the next live stream. So context. I was talking about a quick swap FPV camera system, specifically like the DJI O4 units. And he says, "Hey, I think this is kind of like what you were talking about. I think it's the Clover cage." Let's just click on that. Let's do O4 Air Unit Pro. So I just briefly scrolled through this already. So this looks like what he's what I was talking about. Come on, man, just show me like the pictures, dude. Here we go. Here's some pictures. So the concept is kind of like, the concept is the same as what I had been talking about, which was like, hey, the FPV camera, the digital FPV camera, is the most expensive part of the drone. Usually, especially for small drones, it's anywhere from $150 to like $250. Why don't we make that part easily swappable so that we can just pop it off of one drone and pop it onto another drone, right? Like, that just makes a lot of sense. And so it looks like this is kind of that concept. Now, I haven't read into this like a ton, so I'm just kind of giving my first thoughts here. So they say the heavy-duty quick swappable VTX camera caddy is designed for bashing. So that's cool. Respect, okay, for that it's designed for bashing. I can see how that would be useful. However, right now anyway, I'm really weight conscious, and so I'm really thinking about like yeah, that would be good, for bashing around or putting on, or like they're showing putting on a RC car, like that's cool, or maybe just, popping it onto a plane, like and the weight doesn't really matter. But I'm really curious about like how could we do this and make it super lightweight, so that you could put it on even micro drones. And this was my first time hearing about this. Clover FPV systems. So I will say, like, so obviously I don't have any experience like with this, but it looks a little clunky to me. It looks or not a little clunky. It looks too clunky to me. Big fat frames, big fat arms. Just solid like top plates and stuff. So, but I feel like the concept of it is that it's like really durable. I think that's what they're going for. That's kind of what that's kind of the feeling that I get there. So, thank you for sharing that, Kevin. Let me take a look. Let's see if I missed something. The O3 Air Unit. Yeah, so just different styles of cages, basically. I like that they have the fan on there. The fan, that's a big deal with all the cooling. I like the slammed version, personally. But I also I guess you could mount the fan on the top, maybe? Yeah. So the cooling fan, that's a big deal. So that's like what I did for this little micro drone that I built. I should probably make a video about it or just show you guys something to talk about. I did something similar where I incorporated a teeny tiny little fan into the drone, and then I wired it so that it was like set onto like the beeper channel, so that, or yeah, I think that's what I did, and I made it basically so that the fan would be on whenever it was plugged in, but it would turn off during flight, which I think is pretty cool. What I think is not cool is the fact that we'd have to like have a fan at all, and that the air unit overheats so much. This is the O3 air unit, the DJI O3 air unit. All right. Well, that was pretty cool. We're gonna take one more question, and so I am still just to wrap this part up, I am curious about this concept. I think this would be cool. But I'm also curious about, actually, did I look at this? The connections, how it's connected. How do you connect? It's a breakout board. Is this what that is? So it's a breakout board. So basically it's an extension. But see, like, that's really, like, it seems really big. Like, couldn't you just have like a female, whatever, however many pins that is, connector there coming out of your drone? I don't know. Further investigation is needed, but I respect the effort. We had a question. This will be the last question, I think, from Jay Jimmy over on YouTube. Hey, Jimmy, welcome to YouTube. I have a question regarding the Bamboo P2S. How necessary is a dedicated ventilation system when using ABS or ASA? Total newbie here, getting my printer in a week or two. How necessary? How necessary? So it's the P2S. P2S. So the successor to the P1S. Right? Yeah. And it's got that nice screen. So that looks a heck of a lot like the X1 Carbon. But I think that's kind of what they did, is they got rid of the X1 Carbon and then did the P2S. So, sorry. So let me just actually answer your question. Short answer, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have any direct experience with that. I don't print with ABS. I don't print with ASA. I can tell you that obviously the safe answer is yes, you need a ventilation system, and vent it out the window. I guess that would be the answer, would be to get like some. Well, I'm sure. Do they make it? Does Bamboo Lab make that accessory? I'm not sure. Do they make ventilation systems? They must, right? Because they have the laser model. Oh, the cutting model. Oh, the cutting series. Oh, I just realized that. Is that? Oh, so they. Like almost like a Cricut. So it's like a digital blade cutter. That's cool. That is what I would actually really like. That would be more useful to me than a laser cutter. Sorry, we got a little off on a tangent there. So lasers, smoke purifier. They have a purifier. Where's their ducting system? That seems weird. That seems like, yeah, because that's the thing. I would not want to be using a laser cutter like in my inside house office. And then especially like they've got a smoke purifier. That way only pure smoke comes out. But that's got to get expensive. I mean, that's $551. So I see they have ducting stuff with it. I wonder if it comes with ducting. Guess I should have clicked on that one, huh? The H2, I guess any of them that have the laser. What did I say? The laser. I guess they all have the laser, but specs. What's in the box? There we go. Laser platform, laser ventilation pipe. Ventilation pipe. Okay, I'm assuming that's like a ducting, like a flexible ducting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically. Anybody else have any idea about that? I'm not, I mean, did they say about it? Because basically, it seems like, well, asterisk, caveat, I have not looked into the latest research about like 3D printing fumes or fumes from 3D printers and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess, yeah, like I said, safe answer is yes, vent it out the window, especially if you are in a small enclosed area, and especially if you are sensitive to fumes and stuff. Oh wow. Okay. All right. We've gone over time, but as usual, we have a good time. Talk about interesting stuff. This is a lot of fun. This is fun. Yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. So hopefully that answered your question. I guess also to answer your question of like, what would I do? Yeah, I would vent it. I would vent it, or at least have like really good ventilation going into the room for printing ABS or ASA. Um, because remember, the solution to pollution is dilution. And that's going to do it. So Flying Butter says bye. Bye, Flying Butter. Let me get over here. Boom. Yes, that's the one. Okay. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Remember to check out the giveaway we have going on over on YouTube. 12 days of giveaways. New updated deadline to January 15th, so you have more time to enter in those videos. Enter only in the ones that you actually want to win. And I'm not going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. We got stuff going on. Not going to see you Sunday. Should see you Monday. We should be back here 11 a.m. Eastern time on Monday, bright and early. Bright and on time, hopefully. Hopefully on time. Oh, boy. Well, it's the weekend, I think, in most places. So have a good weekend. Go get out there, fly something, print something, and have a good time. Have a happy new year. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.